If you're like me, every year I unbox my new iPhone, admire how beautiful the phone is, and then as quickly as possible, I get it in a protective case. But why do we do this? Well, because that's what everybody does. We're all afraid of our precious new iPhones will inevitably drop from our hands and explode on impact. We all know Apple's design team is obsessed with perfection. Every iPhone is fine-tuned for looks and feel, using the latest materials and tech to create something that everybody wants. And then it all gets wrecked by some cheap case you buy on Amazon. So when you travel, do you ever feel the urge to live more minimally? So a few years ago, I was packing for this long-haul overseas flight, and I decided at that moment to remove my iPhone case. And it felt great. It easily slid in and out of my pocket. There was no dirt and gunk buildup, and it felt so much smaller and lighter. You see, an iPhone is a tool that you likely grip, tap, and swipe on average about 3 hours every single day. So doesn't it feel better having it out of that case? Well, that's how I felt when I used my caseless iPhone for that trip. And after that experience, there was no way I was going to use a case again. Many of my friends started asking me, and maybe you're thinking the same thing, which is, well, what happens when you drop your phone? Well, it's a fair question. But what I realized was that phone cases give us a false sense of security. And when I used my case, I was dropping my phone all the time. But without a case, I was way more aware of my phone. I guess I was using it with intention, and I just stopped dropping it. It was much like my iPad, which I carry with me often and never have it in a protective case. I just don't drop that either. There's likely some corollary life lesson here that going caseless can lead to living more intentionally, but let's not lose the plot. So, did I find that everything was better without a case? No, not exactly. It didn't take me long to figure out that cases do have some benefits that I missed. For one, cases protect the protruding cameras. They prevent the phone from wobbling when typing. They provide a protective side to rest your iPhone on. They give you a little extra grip, and cases allowed me to have some individual style and color options. This is when I began designs in what's now known as phone back. It's essentially a case without sides. And what I discovered while conceptualizing this idea is that the sides of the iPhone are what we feel most. And when we cover the sides with even the most minimalist case, it just doesn't feel right. No cases can replicate the feeling of purity because they all cover the sides, the buttons and the switches, everything. So when you remove the sides of the case, you do lose the protection, of course, but you gain all the fringe benefits of a case without compromising the feel and function of your iPhone in its most native state. So, are the case companies right? Do we need cases to protect our iPhones? Well, in the early iPhone years, yes, we absolutely needed cases. iPhones were much more delicate than they are now. But over the years, advances in material technologies, both in the glass fronts and the machined metal bodies, have created incredibly durable devices. Even still, have you ever dropped your iPhone recently in a case and it still breaks? Well, turns out, unless you're using one of those military-grade bulletproof life preservers of a case, most cases really don't offer that much protection. If an iPhone falls on a super hard surface, on a more vulnerable area of the phone, it can still break. So my suggestion, pay for AppleCare, not a case. Pair your AppleCare with a phone back, and you get the best of both worlds. So if you're not part of the caseless club, what are you waiting for? Remove that case, give it a try. If you're loving it, ditch the case for good, and get your phone back.